Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the University Art Gallery today. My name is Sylvia Rohr. I'm the director of the University Art Gallery, and I'm very happy to welcome you today to our special conversation with Ashley A. Jones, the artist who did this amazing panorama of paper bag portraits for our current exhibition, Women of Visions Celebrating 40 Years. So thank you everyone for being here today. I want to give a little bit of thanks to some of the people who have helped bring us together today before I hand it over to both Amanda Owanjo, who is our host for the evening and for the day. I'm already in the evening, but for the day and in conversation with Ashley Jones. First of all, I would like to thank Women of Visions. The longest running Black women's arts collective in the United States started in 1981. We have been partnering our two museum studies classes with the collective since, I guess, January 2021, when Alex Taylor began running or teaching the curatorial research class, in which his students engaged with the 22 current members of Women of Visions to do research in preparation for this exhibition and for an upcoming publication, an anniversary publication that will be launched in February 2022. So stay tuned for that. Women of Visions have been our partners on every level of this collaboration, from working with the students, working with us, working with Alex, working together to bring you this exhibition. In fall, we welcomed Janet McCall to teach our exhibition presentation class, and the students from this semester carried on the work from the previous semester to build this exhibition that I hope you will take some time today to visit, to spend time with, to listen to a student tour that will be at 2 p.m. There will be future programs as well, so I hope you will enjoy that. So first and foremost, thank you to Women of Visions, and especially the president, the 10th president of Women of Visions, Christine Bethia, who is sitting in our front row. And I hope you'll take some time to speak to her as well. Secondly, I want to thank my colleagues, those in the History of Art and Architecture department, especially Alex Taylor and Janet McCall, our department chair, and many of the other colleagues who have been supporting us along the way, and our funders, particularly for today's event, the Marstein Family Foundation, who has supported both the installation of Ashley's project and today's talk. So thanks to our supporters, and thanks to the students, and of course, thanks to you all. So before I hand it over, I just want to give you a few words about this special person who I haven't thanked yet, but she has been part of our UAG Wove team since the beginning. This is Amanda Debondo Owanjo, who has been a UAG fellow through the Humanities Engaged program to work closely with Alex, with me, with Janet, on the publication, the exhibition, and now the programming. She is a PhD candidate in the Department of English and an all-around amazing person. And she did not choose to match the chair, but we are very happy about this in this situation. Amanda has graciously offered to host this conversation, and the three of us had a very fun planning meeting the other day. And I hope that we're going to share that fun with you today. So there will be time at the end of the discussion for questions, for comments, and anything else we want to talk about at the end. So without further ado, thank you both.
Salutations and welcome. So I am here with Ashley A. Jones. Ashley A. Jones is a Pittsburgh-based visual artist specializing in portraiture. She received a BA in art and studio art from Central State University in Ohio and an MFA in drawing from Indiana University of Pennsylvania, where she formerly served as an assistant professor of art and as director of the university's KIP Gallery. Currently, Jones serves as an art faculty member at St. Edmunds Academy in Pittsburgh. Her work has been exhibited both nationally and internationally and is held in numerous museums and private collections. So focusing on the history and contemporary challenges of Black identity in America, Jones remixes classical and figurative styles through silhouette-style paintings and collage. I had the extreme joy of going through your website, and her See Me series, her Eye of the Beholder series, along with pieces like Upside Down in the beginning and Angel and Button, just to name a few, present Black folks as regal, ethereal, and holy. So Jones's The Paper Bag Test, portions of which are hanging around us here, are part of a larger project on colorism, which I'm super excited to talk about. So happy to be here, and welcome, Ashley A. Jones.
Thank you. I forgot I accomplished all that. That is nice to hear.
I'm happy to remind you, I am. So have you always been an artist, and what has your artistic journey felt like and looked like?
I probably, if I threw it to my parents and said, have I always been an artist, I probably always drew or painted something. I guess I use art different ways. I can't really say that I thought I was an artist. So I learned in school because I was very quiet and very shy, even though I got a big mouth now. But back when I was younger, I was very quiet and very shy. But I knew that when I drew things, other kids would get excited about it. Like, ooh, look, Ashley could do that. So it made me friends that way. And I was also I gave a whole bunch of people like ink poisoning because I was doing with a ballpoint pen on people's arm and doing tattoos when I was younger. But I never seen myself as an artist. I remember always thinking I was going to be a professional cheerleader because I couldn't tell the difference. Like my sister was a cheerleader in high school, and she's here. And I thought, I don't know why, but as a kid, I thought she was a professional cheerleader. So I said, I want to do that. I was a cheerleader for probably maybe 2-3 days in elementary school or whatever they had cheerleading, but never thought I can do it as a job, never really cared to do much with it. But my journey was really weird. I did start college, undergrad. I went to Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio. It's a historical black college. And my dad and sister, I believe, took me to go visit it. Now, he would have liked me to go to Wilberforce University because it belongs to our church. It's run by the same AME church. And when we got there, I had no idea what I wanted to study. I just knew I wanted to get out of Duquesne, where I was from. I wanted to go to college and get away from home. So when they showed us around, the guy that was doing the tour, he said, "Oh, you got a deep voice. You should be on the radio." So I said, "Oh, I'm going to be a communication major." So I started college as a communication major. And this is a terrible kind of a tasteless joke now, but the communication building was the Cosby because Bill Cosby donated all this money. So there's a big Cosby head in front of this building. And I just knew that I was going to be on radio and do all this stuff with my voice. Yeah, so that didn't work out, kind of was failing communication. I even failed art appreciation my first trimester. And what happened was there was I think she's a dean of the college now. Her name was Dr. Chinwa. So she was teaching a class in communication. She said, "Miss Jones, let me see your notebook." I said, "Why?" She said, "'Cause you take notes every single class, but you failing." I was like, "For real?" Now I knew I was failing, but you got to play the game. You got to play the game. So I was like, "For real?" She said, "Let me see your notes." So begrudgingly, I gave her my notepad because I knew Dr. Chinwa don't play. You can play with her for a little while, then she's gonna get mad. So I gave it to her, and she noticed all my sketches because my mind wanders. I start drawing, and she said, "Meet me at the registrar's office in the morning." Okay, so met her at the registrar's office. She said, "We switching her major to fine arts. She can't be a communication major no more." So she takes me over there, introduced me to the professors over there. And the one professor was like, "Ashley Jones, she ain't never show up for my class. She wouldn't be an art major, really?" So it was this whole big joke. They talk about it now to this day, but I never seen myself as an artist. But I knew I liked it and I knew I was good at it, but I just wanted to, I guess I wanted to draw on my own time. I didn't want anybody to teach me anything. Well, I got a teaching at Central State, believe it, the hard way, because I fought against it. But yeah, so my journey was weird. I finished there. I came back. First of all, I probably was a little bit more cocky than I should have been when I graduated. I was like cockier than Kanye West. Like you couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't tell me nothing. I told everybody in Dayton, Ohio, and Central State University, "I'm coming back to Pittsburgh. I'm gonna be the next Andy Warhol. You can't tell me nothing." They said,
Period.
Okay. So I came back, couldn't find a job. Nobody wanted to look at nothing I had, and I ended up in social work. Then from social work, I went into pharmacy. And then pharmacy, I was working for Target. I used to train pharmacy technicians and started going into pharmacy school. Actually, matter of fact, I was about to start here at Pitt Pharmacy School. So I decided that maybe this was a little bit harder than what I expected, and maybe I shouldn't do pharmacy. Let me try back to college and go get my master's, but I'm going to try to go get my master's here in Pittsburgh. So I started looking at different schools, and I seen that IUP, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, had a MFA program. So I went to visit. So it was very, what they call it, kismet, how the thing happened. Because the woman who was the grad director at that time, her name was Susan Palmisano. And she said, "Oh, you went to school at Wilberforce?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Do you know Bing Davis?" And Bing Davis was a man that I did an internship with, I apprenticed for him and everything. She said, "He used to be my teacher. You were one of his students?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "All right, wait on your acceptance letter." So I got my acceptance letter, and I had the first year, I had my internship, and I didn't have to pay for nothing. So I knew this is probably where I was supposed to be. Even though I wandered everywhere, and believe me, my father, he probably got several more gray hairs because of me, not knowing if I was ever going to end up at a career as he rubs his bald head. So it was really a journey to get there. Yeah.
Yowza. So
Yeah.
at Indiana, at IUP, the Colorism Project was birthed there, right?
Yes. Yes.
So how did the paper bag test come to be? How did that project unfold for you?
So being up at IUP, and I'll just call it IUP instead of doing a long Indiana University of Pennsylvania. So being up at IUP, not very diverse, up there. And at the time, you got to think, I started in 2015. I'm in my 30s, early 30s, just coming off a divorce, and I don't know what I'm doing. All I knew was I wanted to do something for me, so I was going back to school. I get up there, and every other student is like 19, 20 years old, and I'm the only black one, and I'm the old one there, so I'm like the wise owl. They always come to me, and for a long time, I'm like, am I really that brilliant that they hang on my every word? No, it was because I can buy liquor. Okay, I was invited to every party, and because I was the old head that would bring liquor. So, side note, instead of saying, I got wasted, they used to say I got Ashley Jones. I brung pre-mixed alcohol drinks that you buy at the liquor store. I had no idea at this time how old everybody was. They thought it was mixers, like you're putting juice inside a mixed drink, so they started pouring more alcohol in it. So anytime I came to the party, they're like, "Oh, I'm not trying to get Ashley Jones today because, I got a quiz tomorrow." So it started becoming this thing. I learned that I wasn't as, brilliant and thought-provoking as I thought I was.
Shenanigans.
So going through that and seeing everybody, my cohorts, or whatever you want to call them, people getting engaged and getting together and breaking up, and I'm just up there by myself, just trying to find my way. And, you feel really old at that point. Like, what have I done? They're just starting, they're where I'm at, and they're just starting out, and I'm behind the ball. So I started kind of trying to figure out my identity at that time. Was going through a lot of little hair stuff, just shaving my hair off one moment, throwing a wig on the next. There was a lot of things that was going on, and I was just trying to find myself. And find myself through that department because it was driving me crazy. I had no idea. I was good, but I really didn't hone my own craft at that time. Because at undergrad, you don't learn that. You just learn the basics. And I was aware that I was the only black student in the grad department, and among faculty, I was the only person of color, and it's, a lot of that comes out. A lot of things get said that, mistakenly get said where it hurts my feelings, but I keep it in.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be that one. She always makes something about color, so I kept it to myself. So one day we had our first studio visits, and there was an old professor that retired that came back that was doing studio visits, and his name was Nestor. Cannot think of Nestor's name, his whole name. So Nestor come to my room, my little studio, and I was showing him all my artwork. Y'all was doing this abstract work that was terrible, but you know, you got to put a good front on. You got to make it seem like you like what you're making. So I was showing him my abstract work, and he said, Ms. Jones, you don't even like this stuff, do you? I said, no. He said, you don't even want to be here, do you? I said, I think I made a mistake. I think I'm too old for this. I just want to make my own little stuff. And he said, so what kind of art would you make? And I said, I don't know what kind of art I would make. And he said, well, what do you got to say through your art? I have no idea. So I was going to school with a young woman that was from Saudi Arabia. He did her studio visit before he came to mine. He said, your friend over there, what kind of art she make? I said, Saudi Arabian art, about women. He said, is she the only one in this department that could talk about Saudi Arabian art? I said, yeah, she's the only Saudi Arabian here. So, is she the only Saudi Arabian here making Saudi Arabian art? Why are you the only black student here and not making black art? I said, because I don't want to be, I don't want to be the token black student to make black art. He said, you have a story to tell and you won't tell it. You the biggest fool going. What's the problem? So after he said that, I was a little embarrassed and mad at him. And then that's when I started looking into different stuff that I was interested in and stuff that I was dealing with. So the hair thing was a big thing. So I started doing these different long, huge drawings of like ink of hair and in different hairstyles and stuff like that. And I put it on Facebook. And it's funny, here's another thing, how things come together. One of my old pharmacy customers seen it. And she was working at a hair salon in Squirrel Hill. And she said, hey, we hang artwork every now and then. Can you bring some of those pieces here and we'll have this big art show for you? I was like, okay. So, I got them framed up and I had a fantastic show at this art salon that people still talk about. And it was great, but I never thought about things like that. And what I discovered with this whole thing is that when it comes to, you have to feel your artwork. Like, you got to be passionate about it. You can't just be making stuff. Like, no matter if don't nobody else get it, long as you get it. See, I didn't get the abstract stuff. I was just doing it because I know Susan was going to get on me because she was the paint professor and she was tired of me lollygagging, and I would just throw some paint on canvas. Here we go, this is about my pain. She was like, really? While I'm smiling. Because all that was going on, and like I said, you get a little lonely, you want, some company and everything, and once again, I'm the oldest cat in the department, and I don't venture out the art department. When you in grad school or you getting your PhD, you don't venture out of your department. It's your department at home, that's it. So I started kind of thinking about like, beauty standards, what can I do to doll myself up to get a few looks at me and stuff like that. And one day we were talking about one piece of work that I did, and I went on this rant. And the rant I went on is about something that happened at college, undergrad. And I was saying, I was trying to join this organization, and it was looking for dark-skinned women, and at the time I was a few shades lighter than what I was now, and like, they kind of did this brown paper bag test on me. And I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like, I laughed it off because I didn't know what it was. And you gotta think, this was like 2004. I graduated 2005, so it had to be 2003, 2004 that it happened. I had no idea what it was, but it kind of slipped up when I was talking about, skin color and identity crisis that women have in the black community. And somebody was like, yeah, you probably need to work on that because we was talking about color, like color theory. You went on this colorism rant. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should start working on that because, people got nervous coming to my, my visits for the studio visits, the rest of the kids. After a while, they were like, yeah, don't say nothing there, Ashley Jones. Because nobody ever just called me Ashley. It was always Ashley Jones. Not really sure why, but it was always my full name. And they started becoming nervous to say anything about my art if there was anything wrong because they didn't want to seem racist because I was the only black student. So the one day I got them, did a drawing, and I knew the eyes was messed up on it. And one eye up here, and there was one eye slightly down here. And I said, I just want to test this theory out because I think they lying to me. I know I'm not that profound. I already learned that y'all like liquor from me, so I know I'm not that profound. So I'm like, all right. So I brung it in, hung it up on the wall. Oh my goodness, it's so great. Oh, Ashley, oh, this is your best. This is it right here. And I'm like, oh yeah. Nobody sees anything wrong with it. Now, the professor, he knew there was something wrong with it because he would always get on me. He would always get on me. So he said, y'all don't see nothing wrong with this. And, oh no, this is her greatest work. You need to work more into this. This is great. I said, so everybody gonna act like, first of all, one eye was up here, one was down there, and she was cockeyed. Nobody's seen this. Nobody's seen this. And I said, I don't want y'all to be scared to say anything because you're scared that because I make black women and make black art, that if you don't like it, it's considered racism. No, it's considered you don't like bad art. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with all that. So it took a while, and then they started hammering me after that. Like, oh, okay, well, guess what, Ashley? Yeah, your art is garbage this week. Like, okay, you need to back up a little bit. Now I'm getting hurt by it. So from there, I decided that I was getting bored of just drawing on paper and painting on canvases. It started getting boring. At one point, I was taking a 3D and sculpture class, and one of the bright and boldest student over in the, it's funny because IUP is kind of cut up into these different fields. It's like, this is the 2D and the 3D people, and these are graphic design people, so everybody stay in their little clique. So when I go over through the 3D side, they're like, you're 2D, you don't know what you're doing, you're 2D, don't worry about it, just do some 2D art. I was like, all right. So I'm gonna do some brown paper bags, and I'm gonna write just some words on it. So at first it was just words that had like light skin, dark skin, and I just printed them on the brown paper bags, put them up on the wall. So they're going, if you see, they're facing down. They used to face up. So I was being really casual about some of the terms that are used for black skin color. And some of the stuff was like caramel, chocolate. And where I messed up at is having the bags face upwards, because at this event we had that people were seeing the work, they were sticking their hands in bags to see if there was a piece of caramel or a piece of chocolate in the bag. And I'm like, y'all, I understand the theory of wanting to stick your hand in there, but this, and I think it was called like colorism during technology or something like that. And like there would be a bag that says chocolate and caramel, and then the third bag will have the N-word in it, and you're still sticking your hand in bag to see what you get. What are you gonna get with a bag with the N-word in it? You're not gonna get a piece of chocolate. Like, what are y'all doing? So it was like, it kind of got weird. But I wanted to push it further. And the way I pushed it further was I did an actual brown paper bag test that had a mirror, and like you had to hold a brown paper bag to your face in the mirror, and if you were lighter than a brown paper bag, you got to have lift up this box that said what privileges you would get. If you were darker than a brown paper bag, you lifted up this box and told you what you weren't going to get, pretty much. So me, being cheeky about the whole situation, I brung a white bag, just like a white little bag. So nobody was gonna pass it. I don't care what color you wasn't gonna pass it. So I had the class go up and do it. And like people were getting ticked off. It was like, you can't win. It's white, it's a white bag, you can't win. I was like, how do you feel now? This is how people of color feel a lot. You're not gonna pass. No matter what your criteria, how many degrees you got, guess what? You can't pass. So after that, I kind of ruffled a few feathers, and I think I moved around on campus just to bother people, just to see if people would take it. And one of my professors said, you need to push it further. And pushing it further was, I'm gonna start drawing women's faces on brown paper bags. So once again, I posted a few bags on Facebook again. You don't think nobody looks at your Facebook. This is back when Facebook wasn't Meta or whatever it's called now, Mecca or whatever it's called now. And I put it on there, and there was a museum from Indonesia. It was like, we gotta have those bags. and that's how it started traveling. Now, I thought I would just stop at a few bags, but I think I might be way past 1,000 now. Yeah. So those who don't know, the brown paper bags, I kind of alluded to it, but I didn't really get into it. The brown paper bags was a test that used to, right after some books say, in all the research and stuff I did, some books say it happened right after emancipation, and it probably did. So basically, a brown paper bag was held up to black people's face, and it would be done by another African American, or we'll say black people, I'm African American. So they'll hold it up to your face or to your arm, and if you were darker, you couldn't go to certain colleges, churches, go into certain stores. If you were lighter, you get these different privileges. So I think the reason why they posted around emancipation time, because there was a lot of people passing for white. So if you weren't passing, like sometimes people could pass for something else. They might have not passed for white, but they might have passed for something else. And it was a way to hide who you were, because you didn't want people to know that your mom used to be a slave. You wanted to make it seem like you were either a free, person of color from out of the country, but you didn't want them to know that you was just on the plantation a few months ago. So it was a way to kind of hide things. And let's say that it died in, the 80s, supposedly. But those kind of ideologies and thinking about the brown paper bag and light skin and dark skin, you can still see it today on commercials, in books and stuff like that. So the mindset is still there, but they don't use the brown paper bag anymore. So, yeah.
Holy moly. When we were talking on Thursday, you mentioned, some of the words that would be on the bags, words like coon.
Oh, yes, yes.
Negro. The word that always gets me, because I heard it for the first time at 20, jigaboo, and always it just feels yikes. But the thing that I really feel drawn to in this project, and also with what you just said, is how there's a certain intimacy in these bags, even in the policing of, skin tones, right? And so I wonder what it's felt like. What kind of community has been built around these bags? We see some familiar faces behind us. We see some familiar faces. I've spotted you in some of these bags as well. What's it been like creating a community both through these bags and with these bags?
So you either really love them or you hate it. And it's funny because the hate usually comes, it does come, and it comes in weird ways. So the way you're seeing the bags in this room now is a little different than how they are usually seen. So how they're usually seen, I couldn't stomach doing it anymore, because I get in entirely too many arguments after shows because of it. So the way the bags originally were, they had words that talked about skin color from the time the first slave came to America until modern times. So it was all kind of words as light skin, dark skin, coon, jigaboo, the N-word, pickaninny, all these different words that ever got used to talk about black women or black skin tone. They can be very hard to see. I tried to, in particular, not to have so many bags that had smiling women, because sometimes people will hang it and it'll be like jigaboo, and there'll be a woman right next to it, and it's like, that's too minstrel showy, let's move that bag over. So it's things like that kind of started bothering me. And the reason why we were talking about it is because I am showing some of the bags in Chicago, and they said, oh, we want the colorism bags. They have the colorism words. And I said, okay, you chose to argue, because I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be through Zoom, so they're going to come after you when you hang them up. She said, oh, no, I can handle it. I said, okay. So I showed her the words that I'm sending down that will go next to some of these women's faces. She was like, well, I'm going to edit these bags a little bit. I said, yeah, I thought you would. I said, I'm telling you. I said, hey, you're going to get some arguments with it. Because I don't like showing the colorism words next to the bags anymore. I don't mind doing it, but I want to push the conversation further. So for this show, I said, what would it look like if you had words of empowerment and you take that element out of it,
Yeah.
that colorism element out of it, and it's on a brown paper bag, so there's still the colorism element, but what does it look like when you have these positive and these empowerment words next to these women faces? So yes, the community gets built on me asking women questions. Tell me your story about, so most of these women I asked about their colorism story. Has anything ever been said to you by another black person or African American about your skin color, your hair texture, your body, and people went ham on it. And there's sometimes I walked up to women and was like, I really think you're beautiful and I would really like to draw you. And sometimes I was almost about to get punched in the face because that's not a correct way to approach a woman, about their looks. Like, I really think you have an interesting look. Can I draw you? Yeah, that's not. And there was only one woman in Canada that I rolled up on, and she was from America, that I rolled up on and did that. And she was like, yeah, I'm about to punch you in your face. Like, what are you doing? What do you want to do with my picture? And I had to explain the whole thing. So I'm very more disciplined on how I roll up on people about it. But it's positive. I've built a community because a lot of women have told me, I seen my bag. And I never looked at myself as being beautiful or pretty. And even with these negative words around it, like, I'm a star now. Like, my picture is all over the world, even though I'm sitting here, kind of thing. So it's things like that to make me like, oh yeah, I should keep on going. But I'm also tired of looking at brown paper bags. You should see my house. I have brown paper bags everywhere, and like I said, the community has grown because I am building more bags and doing more bags daily. I don't want to, but daily I've been doing more bags. So the community has grown and it has empowered me more. I don't kind of go over my head the whole, I wish I was darker, or I wish I looked like my sisters. Because I growing up, you say little colorism things. I didn't know it was called colorism back in the day. Look at that cute little chocolate thing. You don't think it's colorism. Or you say, oh, be quiet, blackie, and things like that. I didn't think it was that. Now, I'm going to say this, and she's probably going to be bothering me the whole day about it. I always thought my sisters were beautiful. Their skin color was so beautiful. I came out the lightest. Guess what? If I get a pimple and I start messing with this pimple, I'm going to get a black mark. It's easier to see cuts and bruises and stuff on me. I always thought their skin was so beautiful, and I always wanted to be darker. I just go in the sun and fry up and turn into Freddy Krueger because I'll have all these little, marks on my face because I done burnt up in the sun. But, I will say that this helped me along the way, and I can feel her staring and looking at me, my sister, because she's probably grinning. But, I don't deal with that anymore because the conversation has moved forward. And when I share my story, another woman shared their story, and I'm like, I thought I was messed up in the head, but I ain't that messed up. Kind of thing about my looks. So, it works that way.
It's so healing. And even like, I'll share my version of that. I had this vision as a child that I should be like sable colored, like I should be a perfect, even kind of like, because that's what everyone in my family is. And that's just, it's not the way the goddess intended. Didn't happen. So I understand. So I find just like both your, like what you're saying and also just being, there's something about this rotunda that feels kind of, I want to use the word holy, I want to use the word like kind of heavenly, angelic in a lot of ways. And I guess my question to you would be, as you've like been working on this project, what kind of healing and conversations have, now that I know that you're deep into these paper bags at this point, and maybe want to be done, but like, what kind of healing have you seen inspired by these bags? And what do you want people, as they like look at these words and look at these faces, how do you want them to, interact with them?
So the best healing I got was, usually most women, I'll do their bags, I'll never see them again. So the time came for me to draw my fellow women of vision. And I was just like, they're gonna come into this room and be like, I don't look like that. So I don't even like that bag. I don't look like that. So when I tell you I had anxiety the whole entire day, mind you, I teach 2nd through 8th grade, full time, 2nd through 8th grade at St. Edmunds. And the kids are like pumped up about it because while I'm teaching, I'm drawing brown paper bags. And they're pumped up about it and they're like, they're gonna love them. I'm like, you don't know what people, because people don't know. You're like, you really don't know how other people view you. So I'm drawing these bags of them and I'm nervous. I'm like, oh, I didn't do as well as I should have on this bag, or I need to twerk something else on this bag. And I was so worried and had so much anxiety. And then they came in there and they all loved it. And I was still like nervous. I was still nervous, even though they loved them. I was still nervous because I just wanted them to be like proud of me. Like, because when I came in, I think, was I may have been the youngest at the time I started coming around. I may have been. And I mean, these women are like, these artists. So I'm like, I'm just out of school and I just want to learn and I want to be among you. And this is the first time like I did something that incorporated them and I just wanted them to be proud of me. And they were, but I was still super nervous. And like I wanted this time around that the bags, because when I think of Women of Vision, I just think of the concept of women in vision. And what we are and what we stand for and the legacy and everything. I'm like, I'm not putting no colorism words by it. We're going to use empowerment words. And we're going to see how that turns out. And I never thought in a million years that this would look like this, because Christine, the Women of Vision's president, she comes to me and says, oh, we were thinking of putting your brown paper bags in the rotunda. And I'm like, I don't know what a rotunda is, and I told you to quit talking to me about these brown paper bags, because I put them in the closet and I was done with them. So, because Christine knew I wasn't gonna move with it, she contacts Sylvia. And she probably told Sylvia to come after me because she knew that I wasn't gonna go after Sylvia. So Sylvia nicely brung it up to me about having these bags in this room. And when I came in here to drop work off, and I'm like, oh, this is a rotunda. I don't know how it's gonna look, because I don't know. When I think of the brown paper bag, I'm like, oh, I'm thinking of some little gallery wall. Not thinking of it in this mindset. So when this all came together, I was like, oh, really? I guess I am as good as people say I am. You know, kind of thing. So yeah, this is more than I ever expected. And now I know what a rotunda is.
Absolutely not. This question is related to that, but while I was perusing your website, I fell deep into hair identity. Like that, oh my goodness, right? So there are these charcoal drawings, charcoal and chalk, they're on these wood panels, oh my goodness. And one thing that I love both about the bags and hair identity and how they speak to each other is that they turn what is used to shame a Black woman into something that can fill a rotunda. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to speak about, I wanted you to speak about how it's been just in this moment. Like, how does it feel now, sitting in this rotunda, being in the midst of, your creations and the creations of Women of Visions?
So to be among my creations, I never expected the brown paper bags to leave Indiana. I thought once my thesis dissertation was over, once again, like I said, back in my closet, I'm done. I'm done. Never thought they would see the light of day. Wasn't sure what I was gonna do. After I graduated, I got hired on as a professor, and I was like, oh yeah, that's great, and I can still do artwork. You never do artwork. You never do artwork. You're always helping other people with their artwork. You never do artwork. So I kind of didn't know where I was gonna go with it, but I knew that I was going to kill them off. Them, the back of the heads in boxes. If you ever go to my website, it's called the Colorism Project. And it just consumed so much of my life that I thought it was over with. And even though I've seen it nonstop throughout the years, I got to keep remembering, there ain't a lot of people in Indiana, so a lot of people didn't see it, so it's new to them, but it's old to me. So I was excited to hear my part in this show because, like I said, I see Women of Visions and the other women's artwork as amazing, and I'm like, here I am putting some drawings on, or some paint on the canvas and putting it up next to these sculptures or these like, it's not a competition in my head, but I'm just so like, I'm so proud of them, and I just don't think my work. It brings it together. It brings this together, but I never seen it in the way that other people see it, because I'm in awe of their work. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm the little kid. I'm just gonna stick my stuff up here and hope everybody likes it, like kind of thing. So I'm super excited and impressed about this show, and just not even think of this, but just the rest of the work. Is so good and so empowering, and just there's some pieces that I'm like, I didn't even know she made work like that. You know, like it just makes you want to step up your game. And I would love to walk away from these brown paper bags, but I'm sure Christine sitting there already has plans for me to make bigger brown paper bags or something, or make a brown paper bag human or something like that. Like you never know. But you know, it's really. I'm still in awe when I walk in here, because I don't think of it in the way everybody else thinks of it. I just think of that's the stuff that's been in my closet. That was the artwork that got me through grad school, kind of thing. And I don't think of it past that, but now I think of it a little bit different since I spend daily drawing people on brown paper bags. It's gonna stop soon. It's gonna stop soon. As soon as I get arthritis in this hand, it's over. It's over.
Speaking of, what is your ideal art day?
My ideal art day, it has not happened yet. But my ideal art day would be in some studio somewhere, or even a hotel room, like right by the beach, and just looking at the water and creating. Like, I don't know why I'm so obsessed with looking at water. I don't want to be in it. I just want to look at it while I'm drawing. But that's my ideal day. But in reality, my ideal day is to go to my studio. I got a studio at Radiant Hall in Susquehanna, so that's the Homewood branch. And I'll go in there and I'll zone out to some Nina Simone. So Nina Simone is kind of another input to reason why I did the brown paper bags, because she got that song. What is it called? For Women? Is it For Women? Yeah, somebody said yeah, so that means I'm right. Yes, For Women that she did, and I remember hearing that song. Now I know, because I keep Nina Simone on Pandora. And it was one day I was working in the studio back in probably 2016, no, probably 2015. And a song came on. And I was like, whoa, like this song was like, like it was really, she went hard on that song about skin color. I didn't understand the ending when she screamed her name is Peaches. I'm like, what does that have to do with the song? And once y'all hear the song, take a minute one day and listen to it. And the ending, you're just like, what? But regardless, that song was a piece of the reason why I decided to do kind of like go hard on the colorism and actually use those colorism words at that time. But I listen to Nina Simone because she got that jazz kind of and that classical, because I like listening to classical music too. So she mixed like classical, jazz, R&B, and I ain't got to listen to no like craziness, and I could blast it without hurting somebody's feelings or somebody judging me like, why is she listening to that booty shaking music? Ain't she a professor, or don't she teach little kids? Like, so, you know, you gotta keep it tame. So, but yeah, that's my perfect day, like just going to my studio, put my headphones out, zoning out, and just making stuff, because I make art, like I truly make art I used to make art to teach, and I still make art to teach. There's no point in me making art if it doesn't teach somebody something. So there's always like a history lesson in my artwork. You might not know it at first until you start asking me about it. But I do it to teach, but I also make artwork because I like it. I never expect nobody to buy none of it. What's the chances of that? I have sold, and I'm always shocked. I'm like, you're gonna put this random person's face in your house? You don't know this person? Oh, it's beautiful. I'm like, all right, but I know this person. But it is what it is. But it gets better for me and better for me as time goes on. It gets better, and it's always therapeutic. Just to get some of the ideas out of me, because I'll have a billion ideas. Now that I teach little kids, they're amazed. If I do a line on the board, they're like, oh, Miss Jones, you're the greatest thing ever. I'm telling y'all, when they see me at Target or Giant Eagles, I'm like a rock star. They're like, Miss Jones, I love her. She's so great. Mom, you got to see her website. And I'm just like strutting with my little groceries. I'm like, yeah. Like, they make me feel great. And, I think of different ideas for my own art when I'm teaching them different things. I should incorporate, collage, or I should incorporate this, incorporate that. So, it has been really, I never thought in a million years I would ever want to teach little kids, ever. I never wanted to be a teacher. I don't know what I want to be, but it wasn't, a professional cheerleader, but, food got the best of me on that part. I love food, so I can't do that. But I just never expected to be an artist, but I am one, but I like to say I am a teaching artist, because teaching comes first to me, so.
Yay, thank you so much for a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Yay! So I think we have some time for some questions from the audience.
If anybody has a question, we're happy to.
Yeah, I swear I don't bite. Yes.
Thank you so much. It's so inspiring.
Oh, thank you.
Amanda, what if
Yeah.
Oh,
the question, or just repeat?
No.
oh yeah.
Thank you so much. This was so inspiring
Oh, thank
in so
you.
many ways and illuminating. I have two questions, please. One is, have you done a self-portrait? And the other is, you must make a lot of decisions. Like you said, sometimes I'll cut to the question.
No, you're
a lot
good.
of decisions about the particular expression that you're going to capture and freeze into the portrait. I was just wondering how you decide that with a particular subject. Is it a conversation that you had, or something you sense in it?
So yes, on a conversation. So there has been, like, early on, I used to ask when I sat down and interviewed women and talked to them about, like, hey, tell me about your story, basically. And some women say, oh, I always wanted to be lighter, or I always wanted to be darker. So I said, what if I make your bag, like, if they were darker, what if I made you lighter? And they're like, okay. Or some women I just kept the same, or some women I would make darker. There's several bags of me here. There's one with, back there above my dad's head, actually, with me with blonde hair. And I think I got my IUP sweatshirt on at the time, and I have glasses on. And there's me in the corner. And there was, and I don't know if it's here, but I made a bag of me darker that nobody ever picks up. That nobody knows it's me, because I made myself darker. It's like the same, no, I think I changed the image a little bit, but it's me with darker skin, but I don't think it's here. I don't see it here. Also, now I don't mind for women to smile in the bags, but sometimes, if I ask somebody to send me a picture, a selfie or something like that, and they send it to me and they're smiling, sometimes I'll close their mouth, because I didn't want them smiling next to, Coon or Blackie or something. They're like, yeah, so I make and they're like, I never thought my lips were that big. Well, you were smiling in the picture and I just made your lips bigger, kind of thing. So I do change the expressions a little bit. And I really enjoy making somebody a different color than what they are. But I was very cautious on relatives and women of vision. Like, I wanted to make sure I captured the actual color they was, because I don't want nobody coming after me. Like, rest of these women, like I said, I'll probably never see them again. Even though what was funny was there was one woman who I remember I did like in Pittsburgh at some cookout I met, and she seen when they were in North Carolina. She seen the bags in North Carolina. I'm like, so the bags get around, and apparently so do the women that I do. But I do a lot of self-portraits of me off the bags, like on paper. I have to do a lot of self-portraits at school when I teach the kids like how to do their own self-portraits. I'm like, yeah, both eyes gotta be, together, like, kind of like break it on down. So I have to draw myself. And there's some days they're like, Ms. Jones, your face is not that thin. I'm like, I know.
The youth.
This is an example. But when I get to myself together, I will be that. So like, yes, exactly.
Yay.
Yes, Christine, how can I help you?
First of all, you didn't talk when I talked to Sylvia about her bags. It wasn't those brown paper bags. It was those damn brown paper bags.
Oh yeah, there might have been a damn on it, and
And you were so sorry for bags like that. But my question for you is, because I know where you're going in the future in terms of the television special. I
oh,
would love for you to tell people about HBO and how they approached you about using your bags.
so it wasn't HBO. It was a producer of. First of all, there was two things that came from LA. So this was like summertime when they contacted me, and there was a woman, and she said, "I found your brown paper bags on Google because I was looking for colorism stuff, and for this TV show that we're doing, and can I contact you?" Yeah, all right. So it came up on my email that comes through my website. I get a lot of spam. So I'm like, okay. So I'll write back to her. Sure, we can talk more about it. Give me a time and date. I'll send you a Zoom link. So I send it, and she responded back. Gave me her whole thesis, dissertation, because she's a PhD student and everything. And I was like, okay, so she agreed to it. So how much of a spammy person can she be? She can't be, well, she can catfish if she wanted to. But I was like, all right, she's going to take the meeting. And she told me what the plan was. So it's a TV series called Ugly. So the TV series is basically about a woman that moves to LA. I forgot where she was moving from, but she moves to LA and she wants to be an actress. And she's a dark-skinned woman, and she's not really girly girl. Like, she's a biker, and like when I say biker, I'm like the bike, not like a motorcycle, but like a bike and skateboards, and yeah, and she hangs out with a lot of guys, and she just like a tomboy, and she goes to all these like different shoots, and because she's not light skinned and she doesn't dress all seductively, they always push her in the back of the videos and stuff, and it's her trying to navigate her way through Hollywood, or basically. So she asked me about the bags and can they feature the bags in the opening sequence to the show. I've never done this before, and I think I bothered everybody in Pittsburgh about it. I'm like, I don't know, these people want to borrow my bags. They wanted me to sell them like the images for one-time use. I've never done this before. And I never thought of the brown paper bags other than they just gonna hang on the wall kind of thing and people walk away. So when we spoke more about it and it started getting real, like when lawyers start to get involved and it starts getting real. So it was basically, they shot it, and I think the opening is, not the opening, the premiere. They're having a premiere, and I think it starts on the 5th. Yeah, tomorrow.
OMG!
Yeah. So we were actually supposed to go to LA, but that wasn't going to work. I wasn't going to LA for it. They'll send me a clip of it later on, but basically it was supposed to go, and I think it went to a few film festivals. So they're supposed to send it to Sundance, Cannes, HBO, Netflix. So that happened, and I was like really excited. So I seen the little clip of it. There's several trailers of it, and I was really impressed by it. And then I thought it was all over. I'm teaching my students, and come home, do my lesson plans like I usually do. And it was like at 12 o'clock at night, I get this email from this woman, and she says, hey, my friend of mine said they really love your work, and they told me about, they seen your brown paper bags on Google. I don't know, Google must, when you put in colorism, my face must come up in my brown paper bags or something, because everybody sees them on Google. But she was like, my friend, and she kept referring to her friend and how she's doing this book about pop culture and black pop culture and like history mixed together and like the art that comes with that and everything. And she's, going on and on about it. And I'm like, all right, she talking about she's LA too. I got to check this. So I do a video chat. And I told her, I said, I thought you was fake. I'm going to tell you why I thought she was fake. She said, well, my friend's name is Lou Gossett Jr. And I'm like, yeah, this might be fake. So I'm going to go on here. But I'm going to set up the Zoom because I feel like people aren't, like, if you put their feet to the fire and you say Zoom, they know they got to sit there on camera. And she looked exactly, both of them looked exactly like the pictures because, I researched it before I got on. So when I got on with this woman and she was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this book and I want to buy images. Once again, this buying images thing's new to me. And I said, I thought you were scamming me. Because who, like Lou Gossett Jr., and she was like, honey, if I was scamming you, I would say somebody younger, like LeBron James or something like that. She was like, the fact that you even knew who Lou Gossett Jr. was leads me to believe you're not as young as you look. And I was like, so basically, she has a book coming out in next year. That's like Afrocentric art, pop culture, and things, and all the colorism project I did is going to be in them. So that's the bags, the back of the head drawings, and the boxes. So yeah. I'm making moves. Yeah. So thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you both. Thank you, Ashley Jones. I have to say your full name. And Amanda. Thank you all. Let's have another round of applause.